Hey everybody, today I want to read from the book of Psalm, and I'm going to read all of chapter 30. And the reason I want to read all of it, it's not very long, and there's a specific message here that I just want us to focus in on about the promise of joy and joy after suffering, how we can always look forward to the joy that's going to come, and how the Lord promises that we will receive that joy. And right here in Psalm 30, this was written by David, and you know the story of David. He was persecuted for a long time, and he had to endure a lot of suffering. But eventually, God did bring him into his inheritance, into his rightful place as king, and he overcame all that, and joy was in store from him, for him. And so, I just want to read this specific Psalm of David. And starting in verse 1, it says, "A psalm of David, a song at the dedication of the temple. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up and have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. O Lord, you have brought up my soul from Sheol. You restored me to life from among those who go down to the pit. Sing praises to the Lord, O you his saints, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, and his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes with the morning. As for me, I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. By your favor, O Lord, you made my mountain stand strong. You hid your face, I was dismayed. To you, O Lord, I cry, and to the Lord I plead for mercy. What profit is there in my death, if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it tell of your faithfulness? Hear, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my helper. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, that my glory may sing your praise and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever." I absolutely love that chapter. You know, David is expressing, hey, I was weeping. I've been through trials. God, I cried to you for help. I was really struggling. I mean, David was really struggling, and he's expressing that. But there's always a but there. But, God, you have drawn me up. You have not let my foes rejoice over me. But, God, weeping may tarry for the night, but joy will come in the morning. And I especially love those last couple of verses 11 through 12. And it said that you have turned for me, God, my mourning into dancing. You've loosened my sackcloth. You've clothed me with gladness. So God is faithful to turn those hard times into joyful times. He's faithful to bring us into a victory. And you know, sometimes that might not always look exactly how we want it to look. Sometimes it might take a little longer than what we're hoping for. And while we're waiting, we lean on the Lord for strength, guidance, and our peace. And we find our faith in Him. But there is always the promise for believers. There is always an ending promise of joy. And we all know that once we get into heaven, you know, once we move from this life to the next, there will be an abundance of joy and no suffering whatsoever. So there's always a promise there as well. Even if we, you know, sometimes we look around us and we see situations where people, maybe it looks like they didn't find complete joy here on earth, but we are promised a completeness and fullness of joy after here and in heaven. But even while we're here on earth, I believe that through God's Spirit and through leaning on Him and trusting in Him and calling on Him, we can find strength, we can find joy, we can find peace, even in the middle of any circumstance that we're facing here on earth, because God can be that for us. It's not something that we find in our own strength. It's something that we find in Him and through Him. And that's why it's the peace that transcends all circumstances. That's why it's even a joy that transcends all circumstances, because it's a joy and a peace from the Lord. It's not from us, it's not from the world, but it's for the Lord. And that's why we can have that, because His peace is bigger and it's more than enough for us, regardless of what we may be facing. So that very last verse, David says that he will sing God's praise, and He will not be silent. He will give thanks to the Lord forever. I want to encourage you that if you're facing something, or if you're going through something that's just robbing you of your joy, begin to sing praises to God. Don't be silent. Don't let those trials silence you. Give thanks to the Lord. He's always worthy of it. He's always worthy of praise. He's always worthy of our thanks. Praise your way through the trial. Praise your way to your breakthrough. Praise your way into joy. And I promise that God will respond. He responds to our praise. He responds to our prayers. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this video inspired you, encouraged you. Praise God this week. Be intentional about that, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're facing. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed rest of your week.